Hello, everyone. This is a training session on the Westhold Race Manager software. Today, we'll be going over a few settings on the setup page, and we'll see what the effects are of using these settings. The ones we're going to go over today are the set MinLab time, set min hits, set min power. We won't go over the set backup transponder interval. Almost nobody uses it. If you want to find out more about it, please read our manual, which comes installed with Race Manager. So the first one, the set min lap time, you click that button and you can set the minimum number of seconds required to be counted as a valid lap. The reason we set this is because in some circumstances, for instance, somebody cuts across the course and generates a short lap time, that is not valid. We don't want to count it, so we're going to filter it out. Or sometimes a car spins out, has to go over the loop a couple of times to get straightened out, and we don't want to count those crossings as valid crossings. So let's just set this at 10 for our example. Go to the timing page, click the start button. I have a transponder here. I'm going to swipe it by the decoder and we'll see what happens. So here's the first crossing. The next crossing was sub 10 seconds, so it is grayed out. Wait long enough. Nope, not quite long enough, just a little bit longer. And this is a valid crossing. It's 12.294 seconds, and that's the time between the last valid crossing and the current valid crossing, not to one of these grayed out ones. So let's get another crossing here and then something short. We wait for more than 10 seconds from this lap crossing here, number 5, and it will be counted. And that's how that works. So let's go over here. Let's close that out, clear our screen. We'll set this back to 0 for now. And we'll take a look at this min hits. First of all, I'll give you a definition of what a hit is. A hit is a transmission from a transponder. So a transponder is transmitting its serial number over and over and over again. Say, for instance, 1,000 times a second. So when a transponder goes by the detection loop, you'll see a certain number of hits. The slower it goes by, the larger the number of hits, the faster it goes by, the smaller number of hits. So why don't we set this for 30? Usually we don't set it quite that high, but just for illustration purposes, that's what we'll do. Now, there are a number of circumstances where you will see crossings that have a low number of hits. You'll notice that a valid crossing for your particular track, it kind of depends on your track, will have a much higher number of hits, say, 100, 200 hits. And you'll see invalid crossings, say, for instance, somebody walking near the detection loop, but not on the track. Maybe they're just walking by the side of the track. They have a transponder in their pocket. You could see that happening. Another somewhat common scenario is for paved tracks, where the loop is buried just under the surface of track versus a dirt track where the loop may be 18 inches, 2 feet below the surface. So on paved tracks where the system could be quite sensitive, maybe you're picking up a transponder plus minus 20 feet. When a transponder gets to the very edge of detection, it may generate a valid crossing. A valid crossing by default, the way the system works, requires 2 successive hits to be detected. Now, it's a very low number of hits. So just on the edge of detection, the transponder may pick up for just a moment. And then as the transponder goes over the loop, you'll have a crossing with a much larger number of hits. And that's a valid crossing. You don't want to use the one that comes, just on the edge of detection before the start finish line, because that might give a car, of course, the wrong lap time. And the way the system works is that it attempts to determine where the transponder crosses the actual center of the detection loop. But sometimes you get these effects where, you can get some detections slightly before or slightly after the loop when the transponder is on the edge of detection. So let's take a look at what happens here. In this case, please note that it says here, beware, any crossings with hits below this value will be permanently discarded. They will not be grayed out. So you will not see them on the screen. So be very careful when you use it. If you set this too high, you will filter out valid crossings. So I started the race. I swipe the transponder slowly by my decoder. It has 102 hits. So you see it. Now let's swipe this transponder a little bit faster. So I went faster, and the crossing did not show up because it fell below the 30 hits minimum. Here I go slower, got 98 hits, and it counts. I go faster, doesn't see it. So that's how that works. Let's clear our screen here. Go back here. Let's set this min hits back to 0 so we can illustrate the set min power setting. Same thing as the min hits, except this is a power number. So let's set this to 35. Go over here, hit start. Oh, by the way, if you weren't paying attention earlier, the hits and power are shown in this hits power column right here. So you notice this crossing was valid. It was a 42.5 dB power. Now let's try to get one which is less than the 35 we set on the filter. See how this one's a 31.5, so it was grayed out as invalid, not counted. That one is 32, so it's also not counted. This one's a 50.5, so it's valid and it counts. So these filters are very useful to help you to produce clean data. One of the last things you want to do is somebody with a transponder happens to be walking by the loop and they start getting laps. They're not even in the race. You don't want them to count and have them mess up your data. So use the filters to help you. But what I would do is the only one I would set initially is the MinLab Time. So take your fastest lap time for the track, divide by 2. That's a good place to start. These I wouldn't use unless they are necessary. And if you're going to use them, start with a smaller number. Don't put something like 100 here, or you're going to start knocking out crossings that are actually valid. Start with a small number, say maybe 5. And you'll learn how to use this based on your observation of the data back over here on the timing screen. You'll see which ones are the valid crossings and which ones are not. Figure out which ones you want to filter out. And that's it for today. See you again next time.